Good day, everyone. Welcome to Taiwan Education and the Culture. Today, we will begin the Chapter 5, Taiwan Education. And this is the Lesson 1, Emerge of Modern Education. In Manchu Qing Dynasty, very few young people in Taiwan went to private study houses to study how to read and write. In private study houses, people study the great books of Confucius, and the only goal of study is to pass the exam held by government. Majority of people in Taiwan were illiterate, because most of them are farmers or fishermen or doing all kind of work. They cannot afford to go to the private house. Then Taiwan modern education system began in Japanese colonial period. As you remember, in the history section, we mentioned the year of 1895. That is how the Manchu government has given Taiwan to Japan. It was claimed to be education for all, targeting the public without the distinction to social classes. Classes of learning Japanese were established all over Taiwan since 1896. So we have called this the time the birth of modern school. People in Taiwan no longer to study the ancient Chinese great books, because you are turning to Japanese. In 1896, Japanese government set up 14 language learning places for people to learn how to read and write Japanese. These language learning places marked the beginning of modern education in Taiwan. I will give you the example, the language learning place in Chiayi City. And the picture you see, that was the first learning language places in Japanese time in 1896. But the picture shows this is the temple. Yes, the temple was borrowed by the Japanese government as place for people to learn Japanese. So I think they set up like one or two classes and recruit the young people who want to learn how to read and write Japanese. Then in 1898, Japanese government enacted the Taiwan Public School Law. The formal public schools began. So I think the year 1898 will be the very important time for Taiwan school education to be established. These language learning places we just mentioned, they were changed into public school. And the picture you can see here is the school in Chiayi City. So they has built up the houses for the classroom for the students, and then there's a pretty gate for the school, and they all put up the principal, picture of the principal. Yes. Some scholar will say the school system also marked the modern education for the citizen to be literate. However, the other side, it is also the hegemony of government. Of course, the Japanese government will need to educate people to learn Japanese. Therefore, they were set up the formal curriculum and also the textbook for everyone. Yes. And you can see this is an old picture of the textbook in Japanese time. And this is the classroom for the Japanese time. And the second part of the school experience is about the uniform and the school bag. Students are required to dress the uniform, like the picture here in the early morning around 8 o'clock. So all students were gathered in the yard, in the field, and then they will raise the national flag and sing the national anthem. I think that's the part of the school schedule. And then we all have a formal school bag for you to carry on all the textbook. And then the third part is about the lunchbox, the memory of the lunchbox. Usually, elementary school, they were ended at noon. I think the memory of the lunchbox start from the junior high school. Yeah. And the symbol here, you can see, is like very typical Japanese lunchbox. When that was the World War II period, people have had a very difficult time in getting all the like chicken or vegetable. So the Japanese educated students, you only need one plum, the red plum, and the white rice. To remember, this is the hard time for school. Yeah, of course, this is not the case now. We will have a very rich lunchbox today. And also, the students who went to the public school, they will have a very good memory of a trip and a tour. Students in primary school will have a one-day trip per semester, and students will also have a grand tour before their graduation. The grand tour normally lasts for several days. I will provide you several examples for students in elementary school, how they go, they went to the graduation tour back in the 1930 and the 1940. Okay, so the first example will come from the elementary school in Taipei. So the Taipei, the elementary school students start from Taipei. They will take train, normally train or bus. Yeah, normally by train. Today, the first day they will go to Jiayi because Jiayi has a very famous Ali Mountain, Alishan Forest Park. Then they will go to Tainan, Kaohsiung. Then they go to Tainan and to Nantou. Nantou has a Salmon Lake, also famous, and back to Taipei. Okay, so this is the example. According to the document, this is the example for the Japanese students. Then the second example for elementary school graduation tour is for the Taiwanese students. They also start from Taipei. This is the example of the Taipei elementary school, the second example. They went to Taichung, then second day they went to Jianghua and went to Tainan. Then they arrived at Kaohsiung and Pingtung. The fourth day they came to Jiayi, and the last day back to Taipei. So normally within 1 week, they will circulate the work trip went to Taiwan. for the graduation tour. How about the school I just mentioned in Jiayi City? I have seen this picture, also the old picture. The school students start from Jiayi, they went to Tainan. I don't know how many days they last for their graduation. However, I just saw this picture. And the other trip is went to the Alishan, Ali Mountain forest for graduation tour. And these two are not the same class because it's different year. So it's an example that students who went to the elementary school, normally they will have this kind of the unforgettable memory of the grand tour before their graduation. Then in 1919, Taiwan education law was enacted. Many junior high schools were established, and it allowed the Taiwanese to go on study. Both boys and girls can continue their studies. Boys often study agriculture, industrial, or business major, while girls often study home economic majors. And as you can see, this is the old picture show the girls they study the home economic and those majors. So that represent the boys and the girls. They can go on their study for the junior high school during the Japanese time. Then, how is the situation for the parents the view to see the education for their children? If you remember in the chapter 4, we mentioned the Taiwanese parents, they emphasize the children's education very much because with a we have the tradition of the Keju and Confucius education philosophy. That's why the education became a very important issue for the children. Then this situation is the same in Japanese time. So we call, if you want to be somebody, you have to go through education. So this picture we show here, normally everyone will have a chance to go to public school. So for everyone, you can go. Then there are various routes. You can go to vocational school to continue. You can go to the junior high school, as we mentioned last slide. Or you can go to the girls junior high. And also for girls to learn the specialty, including like learn nursing or teacher, however. Or somebody just graduate public school and they will carry their family business, which means they don't go to further school anymore. How about after you graduate from the vocational junior high school, maybe they became workers, and they can continue their study in specialty school and also high schools. Some people go study abroad. In that time, people will went to Japan to continue their study and became a teacher or became midwives, like training in nursing. Then a further medical school. After you graduate from specialty school, you may become the medical doctor. And this is the picture for the route for school for these children in Aboriginal village. So the name of the school in Japanese time, they are called savage children. So of course the correct term is the Aboriginal students. They can become teachers. They will went to the teachers' school, or they just graduate from the public school, became farmers. Yeah. So I think at that time the enrollment rate for the Aboriginal children are higher than the Chinese student, yeah, according to the document. So I think that was a very important time in Japanese time. Like the Taiwanese people, they have the chance to encounter the modern education, and also they can go on become a specialty in further studies. So they go on become the teachers and become the police. Okay, this is the end of the lesson. So I have a question for you. When was the time for modern school system established in Taiwan? Okay, let's recall. Japanese has set up the language learning process in 1896, and 2 years later they start. So it's 1898. They start to establish the modern school system in Taiwan. So there are many elementary school in Taiwan. They celebrate their 120th anniversary for the school in recent time. Okay, this is the end of the lesson. Thank you for your listening.